Alright,
we're back.
welcome back to another episode of Black and White Thoughts.
Boom. Episode 3.
Episode 3. We're calling this one Rapid Fire.
Let's go.
I don't know how rapid it'll be, but it'll be fire.
Oh, I see what you did there.
That's
Oh, okay.
Hashtag marketing.
Okay.
Oh Lord, help us. Alright, so the idea here today is that I have a list of stereotypes, or not even necessarily stereotypes, but things we think of or could think of when we think of black people.
Okay, that would be, I feel like you should just call it a stereotype.
I think it is. Some of them I just don't know if they're like, anyways, probably stereotypes.
Okay.
Let's stick with that.
Alright.
That's how I pitched it to you anyway.
Yeah, that's
so
what it sounded like.
stick
I
with
like, so stereotypes.
So I have a list of stereotypes, and what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of shout them off to KJ, and my iPad's not on Do Not Disturb.
Did it go off?
It just
I didn't even hear it.
Anyways, it's cool.
That's
I have friends.
Oh.
She's right here.
Okay.
So I'm going to go through this list and just kind of rattle off some things.
Okay.
And you're going to like yay or nay and just kind of like...
They're yes or no questions?
They're statements.
Okay.
And I just kind of want like your reaction to them. Like,
So like the first thing I think of?
yeah, just kind of like, huh, yeah, we do that. Or like, no.
Okay.
Then we'll go back and we can discuss them and just see like, all right.
Are you going to mark my answer down?
No, I'm not going to mark them because I think I know most of them.
Oh, you think you know me?
No.
No. No.
I think I just know the point of stereotypes, and they're generally very correct, very accurate.
Okay.
So the idea is I'll go through these, then we'll come back and we'll talk about some that I know you might have stories for, I might have some thoughts.
Alright,
I did a little research on a couple of them,
Ew,
so I have some thoughts. So they start kind of funny,
okay,
and they work to like more like detrimental.
They end up very egregious.
Yes. That's a good word.
Egregious?
Well done.
Thank you.
I think that contradicts number 11.
Already messed it up.
You're crushing it.
3 seconds in and I messed it up. Alright, I'm ready.
So, number 1.
Oh wait, how much time do I have to answer? Like what is seconds?
4.5 seconds.
Okay.
Give or take 12 seconds.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Number 1. Black people love fried chicken. Anyway, to cover some laughter in that.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Black people hate water and or can't swim.
Ooh. No.
Okay. Black people love watermelon.
Absolutely not.
Sorry, we talked about that one already. Black girls know how to twerk. All of them.
All
of them.
No.
Black girls wear wigs.
No. Yes.
Okay. Black men
Prefer white women?
have big...
Oh. That should be on the list.
it literally is ...
Oh.
So very clear.
Okay. They have big things.
Yeah.
They do big things. Sure.
Okay. I'm learning a lot. Black women are angry / bitches / queens /
No. I'm a hard no.
Okay. I have a lot to say about that one.
Okay.
Black people are naturally athletic. All of them.
No.
All black people like rap or only rap.
Absolutely not.
That just feels so true though.
Oh gosh.
Black people are on welfare.
On welfare?
Yep.
No.
Black people are less intelligent.
No.
Black dads are absent.
That's a hard one. I'm gonna say yeah.
Okay. Black people are criminals.
No.
And black people are all, I'm quoting here for those of you who can't hear us, they're all victims.
Oh, wow, no.
Okay.
Oh, that was a good list.
That's all of them.
Wow. Okay, let's talk.
Okay, so we're going to start with funny ones.
Okay.
So fried chicken and watermelon. First of all, I'm going to start with the best fried chicken I ever had was at your grandma's house.
she do some fried chicken.
This one's kind of hard for me. Also, I took a cooking class.
Yeah.
For fried chicken.
I remember that. You told me that.
Taught by a black girl.
Uh-huh.
So.
It should have been.
Fight me.
At me, I dare you. Yes. No, okay, so what was the question again? All black people like fried chicken?
Fried chicken, yeah. Like, what is the connection with black people and fried chicken?
You know, I honestly don't know. Maybe this
actually, let's add barbecue to this. Like, is that like a whole thing?
Well, I think that goes back to like the Juneteenth thing. I think barbecue is Juneteenth. I don't know the actual origin or significance of fried chicken, but I think like the gathering of people and like sharing food is probably like very reminiscent of Juneteenth. But I don't really know. The only thing I could possibly think of would be the Southern style cooking.
Okay.
And they're just like, that's a very strong presence in like the Southern, like seafood and like fried chicken is like the jam.
Right.
And I only say that because everybody except for me and my cousins are from Florida. They're from Jacksonville, Florida. So like soul food is what I grew up on. And I don't know. I feel like maybe because a lot of people, like a lot of black people, when kind of, what am I looking for? Came from the South. Mm-hmm. So there's just a lot of Southern influence.
Sure.
So that would be my take on it. I don't know though. But I do know that everybody freaking loves fried chicken.
It's
everybody. I haven't come across a single person that doesn't love fried chicken. And like, you ever been to Revival?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna bring us some Revival. Like Buck, he put me up on Revival. Mm-hmm. It's like a soul food place, and their fried chicken is almost as good as my grandma. Like, it's up there.
It was a fantastic qualifier.
Yeah, like
Grams, I hope you heard that.
Yeah, it's up there. But.
Well, like, I mean, you think of, like, Popeyes.
Yeah.
Like, the lady, like, the spokes, I mean, she's the owner.
Yeah.
But she's black. Like, it's just a very...
Yeah.
But then, like, Colonel Sanders or whatever his name is, like, he's super not black.
Right. And that's why I say that, because I'm like, everybody loves fried chicken. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm sure if I did some digging into it, I could probably find where, like, it originated from.
Right.
But my guess is just probably, like, from the South.
Sure.
And there's just a lot of black people in the South.
That makes a lot of sense.
So.
All right. Let's skip straight to the watermelon, because I know you posted something on Instagram. I read about it. I learned a lot.
Good.
And I have to say, like, that has been a joke in our house.
Watermelon?
And fried chicken, because these are two of Greg's absolute favorite foods.
I think Greg's black.
Well, see, so that exactly is what we always joke, like, his favorite foods are like black people foods. Literally referring
fried
to
chicken, watermelon, and he listens to rap music.
He loves
rap music. Yeah. Yeah.
So he's
according
to the stereotypes, he's black.
I don't know how big his thing is, though. I don't really need to know. Hey!
Sorry.
Shout out.
All right, so
you had
watermelon.
to do it. You could not.
I couldn't. At that point, I might be lying.
You could not. You had to do it. All right, watermelon. You ready to like annoy me? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yep. I want you to like lay it out.
Okay, so let's start with you first. So you read the thing that I posted. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I'll put it on our Instagram.
Yeah.
So I'll put it in like one of our little stories, save stories, so you guys can go read it. But it's basically the origin of watermelon and how that stereotype got attached to black people. Mm-hmm. So tell me what your thoughts were first, and then I'll kind of get into like my rant, because my blood pressure is probably gonna raise just a smidge.
Well, it was funny because it was like, I would say Greg and I have been together for decades.
Yeah.
And it was probably like 3 years ago where I was like, I don't know your favorite food. Mm-hmm. And so he made the joke like, oh, all black people food. And I was like, so like, what is that? And like, I don't know. And molasses? Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, fried chicken and watermelon. And then just kind of like the more we'd like joke about it, talk about it with friends, it was like, oh, haha, like you must be black on the inside, likes rap music, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I had no association prior to that of like watermelon being a black person connotation.
You keep talking, I'm going to pull this.
And then it was like, okay, I honestly figured it's another one of those like from the South. Like I don't even know where watermelon grows. Like it's just gotta be
actually,
like,
I don't know where
like, well, it's gotta be like warm climate. Like I don't know. So it's just gotta be. It's cool. It's refreshing. Like when you're doing barbecues. Like what a great thing. So to me, like there was nothing bad about it.
Sure.
It was just like
I feel like
it's
that's
a
like
delicious
that to a lot of people,
barbecue picnic food, and black people barbecue on Juneteenth, which I'd never heard. So probably not. But so that was really it. It was just okay. They just eat it when they barbecue.
Yeah. So, well, this isn't the article. I can't find the exact... I know what it is on my Instagram, but I'm not going to look it up. But, okay, so to back up, I do not like that stereotype. And as we talked on the phone yesterday, it, like, boils my blood. I don't let people know this, and maybe I should, but I hate it. Because people do it all the time to me. They're like, oh, haha, you must love watermelon, or haha. Like, and even like the you can't swim joke too, like that bothers me as well. But I don't know. There's just something about it that just absolutely boils my blood because it's not funny, right? Once you actually understand the origin of it, it's not funny at all. It's not even remotely funny. And for those of you who are like, just talk about it, I'm not going to go read that thing. Basically, the origin of watermelon for black people, when black people, it's almost like, it was like a symbol of like, I don't want to say a symbol of freedom. What would you call it? Kind of?
Yeah, it was like their first step into the real world.
Yeah, like they would grow and sell watermelons, right? And like that was kind of like, this was their income. This is how they made a living for themselves. And so they would sell watermelons to each other and into like white people and things like that. And I don't remember exactly why, but I don't know if it was like a competition thing or like a jealousy thing or if it was like, air quotes, the white man trying to keep you down type thing. But it turned into this whole ordeal where watermelons, because it was like a sloppy, messy, like poor man's meal, it just took on this really terrible
It was like you're like this dummy. It was like this caricature of black people and watermelon.
Yup, and it was like, oh, okay, so you're poor and stupid and like, so you eat watermelon. So it like, I'm not doing any justice, mostly just because I want everybody to go read it. But that's not why it bothered me. Like, it actually bothered me more once I learned that. Right? I was like, duh. But I don't know. It's just something about that particular stereotype where I'm like, it's not funny.
Right.
And mostly I think it's because people take that one way too far.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the few stereotypes. Like, people will joke, like, I mean, we joke, like, oh, black guys have, or like, oh, you like fried chicken. And that's usually the end of it. But for some reason, people just take that one. Like,
probably because it feels so innocent.
Yeah, probably.
Like, it doesn't, like, I don't know that many people know this.
No, I don't think anybody knows.
Exactly. I don't think anybody's really researched the history of watermelon.
Yeah.
Like, that never crossed my mind. So it feels like one of the more innocent things that you could joke about.
And then people just keep ha-haing about it. And, like, I'm like, it's not a ha-ha. Like, there's no ha-ha to it. And it's like, I don't know. Because then it's like, oh. And it's one of those stereotypes. And again, I'm trying to, like, just stay, like, chill about it. Because it really bothers me. And I'm trying to articulate myself. But, like, even with my day-to-day, that's probably the number one stereotype that I deal with all the time. It's annoying. So, like, for example, I put Crystal Light in my water. Okay? It's peach mango flavored Crystal Light.
It's not watermelon.
No. But, like, that's what I mean. But, like, I can rip it open. This has happened to me at work before. I'll, like, squeeze some meal or something. And people are like, oh, what flavor is it? Watermelon? And I'm like, that's not funny. And I'm
That's prevalent.
Yes. Yes. Like, it happens all the time. And maybe, like, between it just being overly just annoying and shoved in my face on a day-to-day basis might be part of it. But then once I learned like the origin of watermelon, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna
let me educate.
I'm about to light this building on fire. So yeah, it's like that. Or like, you go to like a barbecue and I'm like, oh, what? Or not even a barbecue, like a get together. And I ask you all the time, it's a polite thing to do, like, hey, what can I bring?
Right.
Oh, we're good. Oh, you can bring some watermelon. Like, that's not funny. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I think it's such a great lesson for us, like, not just black people, not just anybody, but stereotypes in general, right? Yeah. I mean, obviously this list gets more egregious as we go down, and some of these things have bigger implications, but it's such a great tell of how something so innocent can just, it can have such an emotional toll on you.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, I mean, I'm short. I get short jokes all day long. And it's kind of like, you're funny, haha, and then you're like, all right, like, by the end of the day, you're like,
I'm over it.
I get it. I'm short. Like, that's never going to change.
Yeah, and it's not funny. It's any stereotype that you hear about yourself, like take color off the table that you just hear about yourself, or that's the feeling that I get when people say that.
Well, especially when it's not true. Like, if you loved watermelon, like, it might be different for you.
I hate watermelon. I hate it.
Me too.
It's disgusting. It tastes like nothing.
It's spongy, slightly sweet water.
With, like seeds in it.
Also, like, they grow in your belly if you eat those.
No.
Like, let's be honest. I mean, I don't know.
It's like pumpkin seeds. They're like, hey, turn into a pumpkin. That's what I heard when I was growing up. But anyway, so I'm not trying to, like, not talk about the article, because I definitely want people to read it.
Sure. I think we need to do it some justice. But I don't even want to, like, spend too much time educating, but this is exactly it. Like, see that emotion. See that, like, no, this shit isn't true.
It's not funny. It's not true. It's not funny.
Okay, so you already alluded to, like, the water thing, how that one bugs you too.
Yeah.
So, like, I've been tubing with you. I've been swimming with you. I know that you at least will like go into the water.
Yep.
Perhaps you're terrified on the inside.
Oh no.
Like,
no.
So where did any idea where that came from? Or like,
Not a clue. I think that needs to be a podcast. Maybe we just pick like a couple of these, like these top
where
ones,
they come from,
and just like find out, like the origin.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe even like the watermelon one, we can actually like dive into that.
Sure.
But I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe again, it might be because like back in the day, slaves weren't allowed to do squat.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably never learned how to swim.
Right.
Or that also could come from a really terrible stereotype, where like you got here on a boat, like
right.
You know what I mean? Like, right? Like I don't know. I'm just going.
One of those funny, not funny things.
Yeah. Well, I did just aggressively say that, so the context of me saying that was pretty funny. But what it is, it's not funny. So I don't know, but that's
like
another.
A, you go in water. You're not afraid. You can swim.
No,
and
my
black
sister
people
can
do
swim.
go in water.
My mom can swim. My grandma can't swim. My brother swims very well. They actually swim better than I do. I'm not. And I joke because people ask all the time, like, can you swim? I'm like, yeah, I just don't tread water very well. I don't know if that's just like a density thing or like a whatever. Or
Yeah,
I'm just
pretty dense.
stupid. Yeah, I don't know. But I can't tread water very well. But I'll get in water, like you said, like. I'll go tubing, I'll get in a pool, like I'll do whatever. Do I enjoy, is that my favorite like activity? Right. No. My brother and sister, they love swimming. Like they'll go to the pool. My sister loves the pool. Like she was bummed out with this whole COVID thing because she's like, I'm not going to be able to go to the pool.
I got a stereotype. We're going to have to ask her.
All right. But yeah, so I don't know where that came from, and that's another one. It doesn't irk me as much because I'm not in situations as often where it can come up, whereas like the watermelon thing, like, you can make a joke about my like Zevia drink right now and be like, oh, that's not watermelon
No,
flavor.
it's a cherry.
Right, but it's like, the water one doesn't come up as often, but, for example, I was on my friend's boat a couple weekends ago, and actually I'm going on there on Sunday, and like, that joke comes up. Mm-hmm. Like, it's one of those ones like, ah, ha, ha, ha.
Right.
Or if I'm like, yeah, I don't really feel like getting in the water, because when we went out, the water was cold. It was like 70 degrees. And it was only like 76 degrees outside. And I'm like, I don't want to get in the water. And I literally was like, I'm good. Like, I took my top off, whatever, and we were chilling, and I was catching like rays, but I'm like, I don't really want to get in there. Like, it's cold. And then the instant joke is like, oh, but do you know how to swim? And I'm like, yeah.
I took the same gym class as you.
Yeah. Like, I just don't want to get in the water because it's cold. And like, I would never say that to you. Like, if I was like, hey, Mom, you want to get in the water? And you were like, no, I think I'm good. I would be like, oh, it's because you don't know how to swim? Like, I would never say that. Like, I'd just be like, okay. Yeah. She doesn't feel like getting in the water. But it's like, I feel like I have to overly justify myself all the time. And especially from someone who knows how to swim. Like, I feel like I have to, like, be the advocate for like, black people. Because I'm like, no, I can swim just fine. Like, if you asked me to go get something in the water, I would go get it if I felt like it. Right? I need to feel like being in it. Am I, like, super confident in, like, open water? Mm-hmm. No. But I think that's just kind of a...
Yeah, but, like, neither am I.
I was going to say, like, I think that's a pretty normal thing. I mean, unless you grew up, like, swimming in the ocean or, like, you do it, like, all the time, I feel like there's, like, kind of a natural fear of, like, big bodies of water.
Right.
So, again, not to go on, like, a super long tangent, I don't know, but that's another one that I'm like, this isn't funny. But it's the standard, if I'm going to get on a boat today, I'm going to hear that joke. Right. Or if I'm going to go to the pool today, like, I'm going to hear that joke. And you almost, like, part of me sometimes almost is like, I should just get in the water. Just just so that no one asks me, but they still do. Like, I could be the first one in the pool.
Oh, you know how to swim.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so it's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's just another, like, great example of, like, shut up.
Yes.
Honestly, like, it doesn't need to be said.
It doesn't at all. And it's not funny. That's the thing. Like, it's just not. And we all know that person. Like, just think of that one guy in the group that tried to land that last joke and you were just kind of like, that's what you sound like.
Yeah.
That's you. It's literally what you sound like.
When we all do the Sheldon Cooper, like... laugh at the end of it, like, that's somewhere like, you
didn't need to say that.
That's like a die.
Yeah.
Alright, so I don't want to go into, like, all of these kind of funnier ones,
good.
but I think these are just a great, lighthearted example of some of these. But the one I do think is a little interesting is the whole, like, dancing. Black girls and twerking is, I use that as an example, but, like, in high school, we went to a not very diverse high school.
No, not at all.
We had this thing called...
Shout out to Rosemont High.
I mean, it was a great place.
I loved it. I like this school.
Number one marching band in the state.
Gang.
Clearly weren't in it.
No
musical, nothing here.
No.
But, not very diverse, but we had a bomb squad.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And I remember that there was a single white girl that joined it. And it was like this big thing that there's a white girl on the bounce
Why did I
squad.
forget about that? And they wanted me to join that, too.
Well, probably because you're
100%. Or I can dance.
I mean, you did a hell of an Irish jig in our little
Wasn't
assembly.
even Irish. I think I just did breakdancing.
Well, you turned it into break. See?
That's true.
See, you took a white dance and turned it into a black dance.
You're right. Nailed it.
Because apparently breakdancing is black.
For black people, yeah.
But so that's something that is kind of interesting that we had the dance team and then we had the bomb squad, and there were two very distinct styles of dancing.
Yes.
And
way to bring it back. I forgot all about that.
And so it's just kind of one of those things that you sit there and like, I did my grad degree with a couple black girls, and I just remember like one time we're at a bar, we're dancing, and I'm like, teach me!
Yeah.
Like the assumption was just that like they could teach me how to make my butt do that.
Yeah. Could they?
No, because I'm going to get stereotyped here, and I'm whiter than white. So I can Irish jig probably better than I'd ever do that.
That's funny. That's actually really
so just kind of an interesting one that like the dancing is
and again,
different styles.
I'm speaking from my experience, like personally, and then like my experience with like people that I know. I said no, right? Because first of all, I don't know how to twerk. Like.
This will be another podcast.
I don't. No, I'm not doing that. It's just dead silent. Like, and you're just like laughing in the background. No, I don't know how to do it, and I've gotten that before. Like I've gotten people be like, I'll see like, and I've seen all kinds of girls get on dance floor and like twerk or go upside down on the wall and twerk. I'm like, dang, and they're like, oh, your turn. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Like, what do you mean? But I can dance. I can dance very well, but I don't know how to do that dance. Right? And I feel like that's kind of another one of those things. Like, oh, all black people can dance. My brother, he cannot dance.
Yeah.
Like, he cannot. It's painful. Like, he has rhythm. He can keep a beat. He cannot dance. Like, we joke, because, like, you know them, like, TikTok dances and stuff like that? He wanted to do one day, and my sister had to teach him how to do it. And then he felt so, like, self-conscious about it, and he was like, will you be in the video with me? Like, he just can't dance.
Did they do it?
Yeah, he did do it.
Okay, we should link below.
He learned it. I'm
going to need to see that.
What's the tic-tac? What's that? I don't even know how to get to the dang thing. But, yeah, so it's like, I have people in my family, personally, that would love to know how to dance. Mm-hmm. Could he stand there and like move side to side? Yeah, when he goes out and he dances with his friends, that's literally he's like the dude from Hitch, right? Just
stay in your box.
Yup, right? Stay in your box. That's him. And he'll do a couple things with his hands and like whatever. But
does he like?
No, he doesn't do the shopping.
No lawnmowers.
No lawnmower. No Q-tips.
All right, we'll teach him.
We just gotta throw it in there. He's into it. But yeah, so I don't like that one. Mm-hmm. I don't think that one's true at all. Because I know personally he's awful at dancing.
We'll bring him in on our dancing episode.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Alright, so we're going to skip to, we talked a little bit about it last night too when we were prepping, the angry, sassy, sassalicious black girl.
Sassalicious.
And I was searching the ends of the internet for stereotypes and things.
Okay.
And I found something about this, and it was saying that there was some history to like the volume of black moms and this whole like black mama, grandma stereotype, whatever.
Yep.
And that we slowly started associating it with like this bitch, this queen, this anger.
Uh-huh.
And they said that the psychologists are saying and seeing that over time we have trained black women to be desensitized to their emotions.
Yeah.
And so now all we're really seeing...
I found the watermelon.
So now we're seeing these women escalate from 0 to 60 because we've told them that's who they are.
Yeah.
And they haven't been trained or haven't had the opportunity to display that spectrum of emotions.
Yeah.
And when I brought this up to you last night, I said, you are like the least like, snappy girl I've ever met.
In your life, yeah.
And I even said, I don't know, maybe your sister would. And you said, I'm pretty sure no.
No.
So, any thoughts on this as far as like...
Yeah, I was trying to find, so I posted something on this. I don't think I saved it, which I apologize for like not looking at you while you're talking. But, yeah, so basically there's an origin to this. I don't know all the details of it. It was just kind of one of those things where it was like one of those Instagram posts where you slide and you just like read it and it was like the topic of that. Sure. And it was like black hair and then it was like that stereotype.
Yeah.
So that stereotype that's another one of those like watermelon ones where like if you do some research into it, it goes way back. So it was another way to basically, like you said, like repress the outlash of slaves, right? And it just kind of through the years became a thing. So it was a lot of, we're going to silence you by making the world believe that every single time you talk, it's angry.
Sure. Which
is the other stereotype of like intelligence, right? Those two things kind of go hand in hand, because if you're angry and you're always talking and you're yelling, then there's no way you can be calm enough to articulate yourself and formulate a thought, which therefore makes you non-intelligent, because
you don't have maturity level to process.
Yeah, and to talk to me calmly. And so it was actually pretty cool, and I wish I would have saved it, but it was like a bunch of different sayings of like, and it was a comparison. So it was like white women versus black women. It was like, when a black woman says this, she's blah. When a white woman says this, she's blah. And it was like the same thing.
Right.
But then like the black woman always had like this negative stereotype behind it. So that was really cool. If I can find it, I'll try to find it and put it up there. But yeah, like that's something throughout history that was practiced.
Right.
Like purposely practiced to be like, oh, you can't have intelligent conversation with me, so all you do is just show emotion, which makes you sassy and this and that and that. So no, and if anybody knows me, most of the people that listen to this know me, I'm probably like, I don't want to say I'm the opposite of sassy, because I definitely like have undertones of sass in my voice, but I'm fairly calm. Like I'm a pretty like even-keeled person.
Right.
So that stereotype is also very interesting. However, that stereotype blends in with another stereotype that I get often, and we could probably talk about this someday, of me being like white, right? Because I'm not.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a whole episode.
Right, like yeah, because I'm not that stereotype to those people. I'm not extreme. I'm not loud. I'm not bossy. I'm not this. I'm not that.
Like, you don't twerk.
Yeah, I don't twerk. Right? They're like, oh, like you articulate yourself. Your voice is usually pretty calm. Like you're very like even keeled. You're very level headed. Like you think before you speak. Like, oh wow, you're very white.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, it's interesting. It's interesting.
So
like,
I've definitely called you the whitest black person I know.
Yeah. It's rooted. Like, it's crazy. Like, this time right now has made me realize, like, wow, there's so much stuff that's just been packed down. And you start pulling, and the roots are deep. And that's one of those two things that kind of link together.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really interesting. And for me, it was just like, all right, how do I, honor the emotions of not just black women, but black people, anybody, truthfully. But how do I make sure that I provide an environment where you can express something between 0 to 60?
Yeah.
How do I make sure that when you're getting frustrated, when we're not communicating well, we take that step back and have the same mature conversation that I would have with my husband, with a white person, with my family.
Yeah.
And not just expect that as soon as I go to a black person, like, just be prepared to yell.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I've been told at times, I mean, you see me get very passionate. Like, I get very passionate when I'm speaking. And I've been told at times, like, dude, like, I'm not arguing with you. And I'm like, well, I'm not arguing. Like, you'll know when I'm arguing. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just very passionate about what I'm talking about. But it starts, again, I said it in the other podcast, it's your ego. It starts with yourself. Like, you have to recognize when you go into a conversation with someone, period. I don't care what the color of skin is. But in particular, black women, like, I'm going to say that again. Black women, you have to check your ego. Yeah. Like, you have to check yourself, and you have to be like, okay, I need to wipe anything that I possibly could subconsciously be thinking. It needs to go out the window. And if it comes up, push it away. Right. Push it away. Because women in general, right? Period. You know what it's like.
A little more sass in general.
Yeah, you know what it's like. You know what it's like to be having a conversation, whether it's woman to woman or woman to a boss or whatever that relationship is. And because you're a woman, there's already a bunch of barriers, a bunch of things that you have to like overcome and navigate through.
Right.
Imagine now being a black woman, and then someone being like, oh, I'm waiting for her to raise her voice right now. I'm waiting for her to get mad right now.
You're just waiting for her neck to do that swoop thing.
I don't even know if I could do that. Like, truthfully.
I did pretty good there.
That was actually pretty impressive. I'm not going to try. I got a bum shoulder, and I might blow my, like, trap out.
Like, back out. You're getting sassy.
I'm just
That's really gonna say put a damper on the twerking episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a few of these where we get into, like, the athleticism. I think is funny. Many of these could be their own episode.
Yeah.
When we start getting into more of, like, in general, the welfare, the intelligence, the criminals. I mean, these are, like, the huge topics that we can't even try to go into now. And I wanted those lighthearted ones to show us just what, at such what we think is a soft level, can do.
Yeah.
And now, like, you go put, like, criminals, like, now there's, like, your life is impacted if we start making those assumptions.
Yeah. It's like you took the knife and then you, like, cut me a little bit and then you poured a little bit of salt on it and then you went, that's not deep enough. And then you stuck the knife in there and then you twisted it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. Is that a good visual?
I'm making dinner later.
Yeah, that's what I can do. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, when I was thinking about, like, the welfare, the intelligence, these things were, in general, we do have less access to education with Black people. They are unequally impoverished.
Yeah.
But, like, this is the fundamentals of what we need to do with the world to fix a lot of these.
Yeah.
And so I think...
That was good. The welfare one was interesting because I think I hesitated on that one. I think I kind of paused for a second. And the reason I paused is because of that exact thing. Where I was like, well, fundamentally and systemically, yes, right? Like, we're at a disadvantage just from the beginning. But then I'm like, but I also, myself, have never been on welfare. My family's never been on welfare. Like, we struggled. By no means were we, like, rich. I'd say we were, like, lower middle class people, right? We're kind of, like, on the cusp of, like, making ends meet. But then I also have, like, my oldest uncle who made a life for himself, right? He joined the Air Force when he was 18, had his first kid. Like, he's running a company. He's, like, a VP of a insurance company in Connecticut. He's built 2 houses, right? Like, so I have such aggressive, extreme, and that was all, like, running through my mind, like, when you asked me that question. Because I'm like, statistically, if you look at the pie chart, I'd say it's like a 60-40 split, right? And I'd say 60% are living not necessarily on welfare, just like a non-advantageous lifestyle, right? And then there's like the 40% of people, and then that number gets smaller and smaller and smaller with like what is made between that gap, right? So that, like, all of that went through my head before I answered that question. I was like, so I said no. But I don't want anybody to be like, duh. It's like, no.
I just think, like, when I was reading through these, and some of them are rooted on statistics and whatnot, but there's a fundamental issue making that statistic and that stereotype more true. Yeah. But when I started thinking, like, all right, when I imagine somebody on welfare, here's what I imagine. Please save the comments. This isn't going to be pretty. I imagine a Black girl with a wicked weave, wig thing, whatever, really long, nice fingernails, on her iPhone Plus, like, mega screen, with her 2 kids and, like, their, Nike kicks, swiping their EBIT card, or, EBT card. Yeah. Like, that's what I'm just like, and you walk by and you go like, oh, I know you for the phone, like, I'm paying for your groceries. Yeah. And have you ever, like, reflected on why you feel, like, why that's your, like... I don't know that I've ever been in the store and been like, oh, okay, like, gotcha. Yeah. But when I think about that... Yeah. I think it's because the comments are made. Like, oh, look at the, Black person in a nice car, drug money. Like, you just hear those comments. You think people think that about me when I'm driving around my truck? I definitely do. Yeah. I think a lot of Black people in Hondas. Yeah. Drug money. Drug money. Hey, don't be judging. It's a practical... That gets into a whole other type of stereotype with Hondas. Yeah, right, Hondas and drugs. No, but that's actually, there's something to that, and I do encourage you to kind of do a deep dive and figure out, like, why you have that visual. Right. Because I don't. And I'm not saying that to be the opposite of you, because you know me very well. Like, if I agree with you, I'll agree with you. I don't have that visual. But I also think that I don't have that visual because I have had a wider representation of watching people be on welfare. Sure. And, like, my dad, for example, like, he's from Iowa, but raised entirely on the north side. Right? So when I was younger, he was in my life pretty much almost up until like 16, and as I got older, whatever. But there are a ridiculous amount of all kinds of people on welfare. And like my godmom, for example, she was on welfare, and we would go, so my mom would work, and she would drop us off, and we would go, and I can't remember where it is, but
we would go get free lunches.
Mm-hmm.
Like me and my step cousins or god cousins or whatever, we would go get lunches, and it was the free meal of the day, and the line would be wrapped around the door, and it was just full of different types of people. So I think that like you might have that because of your representation, right? You haven't been exposed to that. Whereas like I remember being like 13, 14 years old, standing in a line, and just you name it, and it's parents, there's kids, there's everybody, and these are just less fortunate people, and this is like the only meal that a lot of these kids are going to get that day. And I remember too, because I would just go there, my mom dropped me off, and we'd just hang out. I would give my food to other people. Or like little kids, if they would eat their food really fast, and you see like moms like, don't eat so fast, and I'm like, here, like you can have my sandwich, you can have my milk, because like I have food at my house, right? I'm fortunate enough to live south of the river. That's why my mom moved us there in the first place, right? I clearly stick out, right? And that's a whole nother conversation we can have in a different podcast. But yeah, I've just been exposed to it, like as a child, which I feel is like the best way to be exposed to stuff, because you don't know any better.
And the irony of it all is like, I'm probably over exaggerating my image of what I imagine, but in all seriousness, it is a black person. Like, that is what I'm imagining. Yep. And welfare is one thing, and then there's other aid. Mm-hmm. But the irony is that I would say the only people I've ever known on any sort of unemployment and aid have been white people.
Are in need and what children aren't. And again, those families will really surprise you. Like, I worked for the Y for 5 years, and you very much so could tell, like, who came from an affluent family and who didn't. And again, it wouldn't be the kids that you would look at and think. Right. Which is such a crazy thing. And obviously, it was a part of our job to be, had to have discretion and not be like, well, this kid's super poor, right? But there were plenty of times where it's like, that child, this group of kids, like, they don't have what this group of kids have. Right. And newsflash, most of the time, they weren't black. Right. Like,
it's just not what you think.
Yeah.
Which is the point of today's episode. Yeah. So I think as far as like the criminal thing, I'm not even going to go down that path because that is plenty of discussion to go going on right now about that. Mm-hmm. But the last one I kind of wanted to wrap up with is this black people as victims.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this is one that it actually wasn't on my first list, but I was researching for some other stuff today and started having this like watching these videos, and I think in a previous episode I said that I struggle with like, I get very defensive when I start watching these right away, and I just start thinking like, oh boo-hoo, like get over it. And another thing we'll talk about, I think in our next episode is they talked about like leveling the playing field and how white people will tell black people like just pull up your boots, like let's get going, like the world is good, we've leveled the playing field. And so that's kind of where my gut reaction is, like stop being the victim, like the world is fine, and keep going. And so for me, like my message in that is like, we think it's over. Like as white people, like we think slavery's gone, segregation is gone, like you're fine. Yeah. So you have a lot more to say, you can elaborate as much as you want on this, but my thought is just like, as white people, we need to check ourselves that like, honestly, they are still victims. Yeah. And like, it's not over. Yeah. And so, it's hard to listen to sometimes, and for a plethora of reasons that we'll get into. And I think our next episode, I did a lot of dual research today. But it's just how it comes off is off-putting.
It's because it's in your face.
It's
egregious.
Well, it is definitely. Right? Yeah. But it's like, how do we? Because that's a stereotype that I say is true right now. And it's important to allow that to happen. Yeah. Allow them to be that, because when something happens to any of us, we call our mom, we call our friend, we go home and we bitch about it. And we are the victim, and you want your husband to give you a hug. You want your mom to say, I'll go fuck him up for you. Like, you want your friend to go get the shovel. Like, you want that. And that's where we need to be right now, is to make that change. So that's a stereotype that I would argue is very true and will continue to be so, and hopefully isn't true much longer.
I like that. I knew you were gonna come full circle with that too. That's why I was smiling.
It was like a little smirk smile. Thank you
like
for that.
that's coming. It's hard, and I love how you started it with when you hear this information, you initially think like it's over. It's because it never existed for you.
Yes.
So it's like
it's completely it.
Yeah. So like, of course you get that gut reaction of like, what are you talking about? Because guess what? Your whole life has been good. Like you've had no, for lack of a better term, like adversity.
Right.
Right? And I don't mean for someone to nitpick this part and be like, oh, I came up. No, like.
Yeah, no, we all know we all had hard times in our lives,
yeah.
but like this has not been an issue for me.
Ever in your life, and it never will be. Like, and people need to understand that. And it's usually the ones that can't think out like that far out in advance. Like, get over it. I'm like, get over it. And it was like that comedian. Whoa, what was his name? But it was like he was saying, well, yeah, people say racism, like get over it. But then like 9/11, it's like never forget. I was like, I died. I was like, this is awesome. Right?
It's pretty accurate.
It was accurate, but it's like that, like. And again, it comes. This is back to my point of like white privilege.
Yeah.
This is your white privilege, and it's okay. Like it's okay, and I think that's what people kind of confuse that with, where they're like, "Well, white privilege, like I don't have." Yes, it is. The fact that you feel comfortable enough to tell someone who's hurting in any capacity to get over it, that's called a privilege. Since we happen to be talking about it on a racial like playing field, that's now white privilege. Right?
Oh. That's our hashtag for today.
Right? Like, that's what it is now. That's what it is. Privilege is privilege, but when it's purely based on the color of skin, that is a white privilege. And people need to understand that. You in no capacity as a human being, take race off the table, should ever tell somebody to get over it.
Right. Unless he was an asshole and he's better off.
Yeah, get over it. There's somebody way better out there for you, I promise. But there's billions of people on this earth. Like you'll find someone. But like that's like me saying to anybody who doesn't have any money, like, oh man, like I couldn't get this job or I didn't get this position, and like I'm gonna do this, this, and this. Oh, pull up your bootstraps and go work harder. Why don't you go back to school and get a better education so that you can get a better job and a better book? Okay, well, that's kind of a privilege for me to say that because I have a higher education level than you do, or I have more experience than you do, or I've had more opportunities to get the things that you haven't had yet, and that's still selfish of me on just that level.
Well, and even that, when you talk about, like, all right, so a homeless person, like, you can't really walk up to them and say, like, get it together, like, go to McDonald's, put an application, like. Yeah. But even then, like, there are people who maybe were homeless and worked their way up, and now they might be able to say, like, look you can go do something
about it. Look what I did, it's possible.
But race is something that you can't just go and you can't go, like, get white.
No.
I mean, MJ did a great job.
Yeah, he did. I don't know how he did it, but he did it.
But, like, in general, like, you can't get over being black.
Yeah.
And every single day when you are reminded of these sort of stereotypes, whether funny or not, that's... Every day, it's another punch in the gut.
It's a constant. It's a dig. It's a dig at who you are externally. Every day.
You can't do anything.
Nothing about it. I woke up. I came into this world.
Well, curse you for waking up.
Yeah. Like, I cried into the world, and now the world's like, I'm going to kick you in the teeth every day. Right? And then you got a homeboy back here going, oh, pull up your bootstraps. Right. Like,
put in some dentures.
You're fine. You'll be fine. And to your point, the only time that it makes it acceptable to tell someone to pull up their bootstraps in the situation that you use, like, okay, I was homeless and I whatever, that aside, the only time it's acceptable to tell somebody that is when all of the opportunities are level.
Right. When
they're even. Period. It's the only time it's okay.
There's a long ways to go.
Yes. This is the only time you can say that. If you and I, we went to the same high school. You and I, we attended a lot of the same classes. If I didn't decided I wanted to go to college, or if we both were sitting here and I'm like, well, I don't know, you can look at me and be like, get it together. You can apply for school. Get into school. Right? You can go to college. Pull up your bootstraps. Let's go get through college. Right? You can't say that about my race.
Right.
Because we'll never be equal in that capacity. You're always going to be white. I'm always going to be black. So take that same situation. If I go, well, honestly, I don't know if I'm going to get into college or the college that I want to get into because I'm black. Well, you know what? Pull up your bootstraps. Figure it out. Like, that's pretty much what you're saying. Right? Like, huh?
Photoshop that
Figure
picture,
it out.
kiddo.
Like, what? Like, so, again, like, obviously, these examples aren't, like, the greatest examples because it's kind of hard to give examples for things that are this extreme. But even, like, our names, for example. Like, we can both send a resume out there. Your name, we talked about this, has an ethnic look to it. Right? We can both send the exact same resume and to the exact same place, and you can get a job there, and I didn't. I think at that point in time, you kind of have some equal playing ground to be like, well, I did it.
My name was like Nancy.
I got through, right? So, like, for lack of other examples, like, those are those moments that you kind of got to think about and be like, is it level? Is it fair? Or is it an opportunity for me to hear this person out and figure out how do I make it fair, right? And nobody's attacking you personally. Like, stop taking all of this stuff so personal. Like, no one's attacking you. Newsflash, when I post stuff on my Instagram, did I at you? No, I didn't at you. I'll at you. Like, if I'm attacking you, I'll tell you. You'll know. Right? But again, back to our word of the day, it's egregious, and it's uncomfortable, and it makes you defensive. And if you can recognize that that is a normal, like, fight or flight reaction as a human being, and you can kind of get past it, you'll start to realize that the people that are talking to you, they're hurt.
Right.
And they're upset. And that's okay. And they want you to hear them. Right? Like, what's that, it's like that communication, I can't remember the name of the thing, but like when someone's talking, they say that, literally tell people like, I hear you.
Yes.
It's that.
Right.
It's that. That's literally what people are trying to get you. They just want you to say, I hear you.
Well, I think it's so important to, first of all, I hear you.
Thank you.
Second, I think it's so important to, like you were saying, like, understand that it's okay to, like, have that natural defensive reaction.
Yes.
It's okay to sit there and go, fuck you, I'm not that bad. But, like, this is it. Like, it is that bad. And there are moments, all of us, no matter how precious you think you are, you're doing it.
Yeah.
And whether it's exactly, whether it's openly and outwardly out loud, or whether it's just in your head, it crossed your mind, whether you know it or not. But this is the time to be conscious of it and actively work against these. I mean, some of these, most stereotypes come from some sort of truth.
There's a truth to it.
So there's something to all of these, and whether it's a history you have or you were taught, you've come to believe, maybe not all of these, some of these are a bit exaggerated.
Sure.
But, you know, to some extent,
they stem from
they're
something.
here for a reason.
Yeah, they stem from something. Yeah.
And so, you know, understand those, appreciate those, and then actively fight against them.
Yeah.
And go prove it to yourself. I mean, go search, you know, white girls twerking. You'll be surprised. They're good at it.
They're really good at
Ask
it.
KJ to do it. She's not good at it. You know?
I cannot.
Go ask, you know. And when you do, so, you know, KJ, I told her we were going to do this episode yesterday. I brought up the watermelon.
Yeah.
And the first thing you said was that when most people bring this up, you like,
Yeah.
And, like, that's how you know KJ's not...
Yeah.
She doesn't want to talk about this anymore. And so it's hard to know, like, okay, if I'm going to go learn about this, can I sit down with a black person and be like, tell me about watermelon?
Yeah.
Like, that's a weird...
That's
a weird conversation.
Yeah.
But and that's not maybe the best one to start with.
No, but I mean, it's a good
talk
one.
about these. And that's what this moment in time is for, is to learn.
Well, and I always try to play to both sides just because I spent a lot of my life on the bubble, as I like to call it. People of color, too. Like, we will... Let me rephrase this.
Stop eating fried chicken.
Yeah, knock it off. No. We will never stop being upset, but our message will become calm. Like, more calm as more people listen. Yeah. It's if you've watched my video, it's the tantrum.
Yep.
Right?
No, that was
right?
I think that's what really got through to people.
Yeah, it's the tantrum. Like, we try to go, mommy, and we poke you, and you don't listen, and now I'm going to break all the things, because that's the only way for you to turn in my direction. So, no, I'm not mad, right? Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not mad anymore. No, I'm always going to be upset, but my voice will become less and less loud in the sense of, like, egregious.
Right.
Right?
Well, and if enough change happens, it's less often.
Yes.
Right? It's less mom. As you grow up, you need mom less and less.
Yes. That was beautiful. That was well said.
Let's roll with that.
No, but I get your point. But yeah, I really think everybody, white, black, in between, brown, I don't care what you are, you need to recognize these stereotypes. And truthfully, I challenge myself to do a better job of not just going, and then, because I close off. Like, that's a classic example of me being like, I don't want to deal with this,
right.
So therefore I'm just going to stop it. And I shouldn't do that, especially not right now. I need to take that time because I'm comfortable doing it, if you are comfortable doing it, to educate and not just be like, yep, that's not funny, right? Let me tell you why that's not funny, buddy. Like, and chat about it.
Have some watermelon. I have a stereotype.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I had on this.
Cool.
And I think this was really fun. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's very fun to see how something so innocent can have such an impact. So I'll just remind everybody, these opinions are our own.
Yes.
These facts are loose facts. Feel free to fact check us.
Always.
We welcome opinions and comments and questions. And then I'll let KJ do the anchor thing because she knows what that is.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched the podcast.
Because I run our social media. No, actually, you're hopping in more too. But so our anchor page link is in pretty much anywhere you can find us, Black and White Thoughts. You can go onto our page, you can listen to this podcast, you can listen on Apple, you can listen on Google, you can listen on Spotify. But most importantly, you can leave a voice message and you can talk to us. So you can listen to this. If you have some thoughts, you want to write them down while you're listening, and then you can talk to us. We can put it in the podcast, or we can talk about it later on. Or you can just do it the old-fashioned way and drop a comment if you want to, but that's a really nice private way for you to have some thoughts and not feel like everybody's going to come at you about it. So thank you guys. Share this with people. We want more people to kind of get it. Yeah, subscribe. We want more people to get in on the conversation, and then you will be able to watch it if you don't want to just listen to it. So you have that option too.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Cool. Oh.
Tune in tomorrow at 6 for news with Monika and Gaden. Oh, Lord. That's good. I appreciate that.
Solid.